Welcome back to the Troubleshooting Life podcast. I'm your host, Jay Peters, my co-host, Craig Poston, where we talk about various topics, sharing our experiences on life and finances.
What's up, man?
What's going on?
Ain't not much, man. Obviously a lot, you
I
know.
will say it sounds like a lot, but
Yeah, you know, give an update on the place, you know, and basically still trying to get things done to get it updated. And also the other place, because this call I just recently had was to get something scheduled, and this I dislike having carpet, but it's carpet already in this place, and just got to get it replaced. Being a nice landlord by doing it, we'll see.
yeah.
Getting it done, but in the process, finding out that someone else needs a home, which is awesome. That's a good thing because I have a home available, not quite ready, but yes. That's always a good part, good positive.
Oh, you were saying that someone else needed a house. I thought you meant that your tenant, as you were replacing the carpet, needed a place to stay.
No.
Okay.
No. I probably would have been a little bit more crazy and animated if it was.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like,
I don't.
Like, you sound too calm about this because, I've had to go through that where, because when I had that leak at the single family house that I have, I had to figure that out. If I needed to move my tenants and stuff, and if they wanted to move or not, because it's not necessarily a requirement for them to move, and it's not like anything that they needed access to. So they could take a shower, so they could be hygienic, they could cook food, they could do all that stuff. Nothing was getting disconnected. They had electricity. So there wasn't a hard requirement to move them, but if they wanted to be moved, then there was an option. So what I did is I had another property that I could move them into, at least temporarily, but then all of them said that they didn't want to move. So I was like, okay, I just hope that you're okay with people working around you.
No, the opposite. The person that is scheduling the carpet removal and repair or whatever, right? The replacement. Sorry, get that together. The replacement. The person on the phone I'm scheduling with needs a place to stay, and that was that's where that came from. Yeah,
gotcha.
So which is, like I said, it's a good problem to have, but still a problem because I'm still working on getting it updated and making sure it's good to go. Because in the city that I have this property in, they do rental inspections to make sure it's up to par before you even start to rent. So. Right. I'm doing my due diligence before I even have to do it, before they even have to tell me I need to do these things. So I'm going, getting things done from the inspection that I had done. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Now it makes a lot more sense because I was confused as hell. But you had to do the tenant shuffle type thing.
No. I'm glad that's not my issue. This is definitely a better problem to have. Yeah. So just working that out. It's just getting contractors to do things at a certain time. I should have gave a shorter timeline, and that was my bad. I'm learning. So next time I'll give a shorter timeline so they'll give me a better time to do things so I can get things done myself. Now I have to front load something else that I was going to do instead of doing it afterwards. So, but like I said, it's all part of it, and it's a learning experience. But like I said, it's a good learning experience. There's always worse situations.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, that's me right now. What you got, man?
Another man just going through the tenant overhaul, or got a handful of tenants that moved out. So, posting things up, getting tenants moved in, stuff like that, man. I got 2 rooms available, and I got 1 unit available that just came available this past weekend. So, just working that out. Luckily, those previous tenants, at least for that unit that's available, they were pretty good. I went to go inspect the place, and honestly, the only thing were small screw holes because I know they mounted certain things, but that's such a small minor thing. Nothing was chipped, everything was running well. Checked all the appliances, everything else. Maybe need to touch up some paint, but that's so negligible in comparison to everything else. So I just put that one back up on the market. And then probably going to go through this week and do some of those small repairs, to touch up the paint and stuff before I actually show the property.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's the thing right now. Both of us got a little something going on, huh?
Yeah, always something.
Yeah, honestly, I'd rather, stay busy doing something good and something positive for me and my family and other people, actually, because you don't realize even you're providing a service, right?
Yeah.
As you have a home ready for someone to rent, you're providing housing for someone, that because in a sense she was looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's always good because because for me, like housing's like inevitable. Like everyone needs housing, right? Everyone either owns or rents, right? In some sort of capacity, whether it's like an apartment, a house, a room,
Yeah.
whatever that is, right? So if you can at least be on the giving end rather than the receiving end, I think that's always,
Yeah.
it also gives you like a little bit different perspective versus like when you own or rent, when you are actually like providing a room or a unit for someone to rent out. Like it's definitely a different perspective on certain things. Like you never understand, or I guess take into consideration certain things, like you said, like the carpet in the unit or in the house that you have, even, you know, certain cleanliness things like lawn care, stuff like that. Like it shifts your mindset on just how to, I guess, maintain a house, or what is like really important for house maintenance.
Yeah, I guess this week, right, our podcast is on profit and the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of heard about this, I think, in another podcast, or maybe it was in like a book or something. And and so like the profit and the problem, it encourages individuals and organizations to see problems as opportunities for innovation, growth, or even financial gain. All right. The idea is that within every challenge, there is potential for profit or positive change waiting to be unlocked. All right. So a lot of people, they see problems as setbacks or obstacles as something in their way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, and, you know, and we were kind of talking about it in like a real estate perspective, but is there anything that you can think of that can shift individuals' mindset to see problems as potential sources of like profit or growth?
Yeah, I kind of go to that topic we were talking about before we started recording. And one thing I do, I like cars, right? And then I like working on cars. So if I hear that someone's having an issue with a car, I'll try my best to fix it. If a person is trying to sell that car, then I'm also looking at like, okay, how can I fix this car in a hurry and then either sell it or drive it for a little bit, then sell it. So
yeah. So taking advantage of like your skill set that you already built up.
Yeah. So that is a way to look at, you know, problems as a way to profit from them in a way. Because like I was telling you, what I like to do is I work on them. So how can I get someone else to pay for my projects, right? Because in a sense, right, projects are costly, especially when they come to vehicles. That's a depreciating asset. You buy these parts. Yes, some vehicles are more expensive than others, so the parts they can get costly. All right. So if you're doing this as a side project, you having fun, that's actually taking funds from you. So I was trying to get to that point where, okay, how do you turn one of your liabilities into an asset, right? And that was a way to, you know, you're providing something for somebody else, right? You're fixing the car to standard, making sure it's drivable, and then making sure that it is safe. Because I will drive the cars myself to make sure that they're safe. So it wasn't like I fixed it, hurry up, and gave it to somebody. It's like, oh, I'm going to drive it. And I'll drive it around town. I'll drive it to work and just see how it works and then how it feels. And then I'll like, okay, all right, well, I want another project. Let's see if I can sell this. Yeah, sometimes it can get annoying because you got to deal with certain people. They're always going to try to cut you on price. And you're like, I've already dropped it down to a decent price. So, or you try to cut me some more. So that's one of the other things. You're trying to will and deal with somebody like to give you at least the worth that you know that you put into it, and plus the actual vehicle itself. So one of the things you do, you make sure you don't, if you buy the car, make sure it can be sold at a higher price. Don't buy something that's $3,000 and when you're done with it, it's still $3,000. You get what I'm saying? So like, it has to be something that has a little bit of value in it. And at the time, this car I could have sold it for $7,000, but I bought it at $3,500. And this is just one car I did that. And I would say that other times I've done it, I probably didn't do so great at making the profit back. But it's because I was at that point, I was just tired of it, you know. But the one here, this BMW, the dash lights were all out. Honestly, it puzzled me. But I knew it was a module because that's a lot of times that's how BMWs work. It's modules. And they have a lot of electronic components. And then what became tough with it is like, if I'm trying to diagnose this problem, I couldn't even get into, because the main module that you get into to actually see what else is wrong with it was blocked because of this one module. Well, I found that out later. I found out it was a module that actually knocks the other modules off their little logical diagram. Whatever, if you look at the diagram, you'll see how all the different lines went from each module. And this one module knocked them all like out of whack, where they were there, they were up, but you couldn't read them because you knocked that little chain out, it's all out of whack. But yeah, once I found that out, replaced that part, dash lights came up, no problem. And then, the other work I had to do to it, shocks or whatever, right? Anything that makes it safe and makes it the drivability back to normal. I did all those things. But at the end, you think about all the work you put into it to either break even or to make a profit. And it's kind of like, I don't know. But again, I still found a way to turn something that was a problem into a learning lesson for me, and then also profit in the end.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Because so like kind of bringing it back into like real estate and stuff. I think a big problem in real estate right now is that for like people trying to buy like a traditional house, it's getting more and more expensive. Right, within like the past year, let's say year and a half, like rates have more than doubled for housing, going from like in your 3s and 4s to now 7s or 8s, depending on where you're at. Which what that means is that your borrowing power and your like monthly payments like drastically increase by like 40 or 50%. So a house that you could have paid like $1,000 per month on is now, $1,500, $2,000, maybe even more, right? And that's to say if you can afford the 20% down, or if you're doing like an FHA where you can do 3.5 down, or a VA when you don't have to put anything down, it's all still adding to your overall monthly cost. Having a place where you can rent it out to someone else that may be going through that setback, it's like, well, I won't have the money right now. I can at least wait for a little bit to get the funds to save and put a down payment. So I should probably rent for a little bit. And like me as like a property owner, and like as I self-manage all my properties, it definitely, I think that's a good problem to have, and I guess a good place to profit in, not necessarily monetarily, but from like love thy neighbor, whatever that statement is that I am here to help other people like get a place where they may not be able to get one on their own, and at least temporarily. And I would tell all my tenants, like, if you guys ever need help with like credit, if you guys are like even looking for like properties, let me know, and I'll like connect you with the people that I do know, because like, I've been able to do this, and I feel like if I'm able to do something, that I think I can help others do it. And I always try to come out from the place of helping without asking for something in return, and that's just like how I am. But I think it's a unique position to be in that a lot of people aren't. And I think when you are, it does change like your mindset on like looking at problems and seeing like profit, either like monetary profit or growth, or like maybe feeding the soul, whatever that is.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, in your experience, what are the key factors or strategies that turn problems into profit, solutions, or innovations?
I think it's just the way you frame them. Right. So I think it's like, it's helpful when you go through problems, and because it can become lessons for the future. Right. So I'm sure there's certain things that you've gone through where you're going to teach your kids, like, hey, if this happens, do this, or if this happens, or this is what you can do to avoid it. Right. So for example, like if you ever overborrowed, messed your credit, or, gone to college and wasted X amount of years, whatever that is, right? You would probably tell your kids, well, this is what I did. This is why. This is it. It didn't work this way. This is what I changed about it, and I was able to get myself out of it. And this is what I would recommend, like, for you to start out with. This isn't necessarily what I did, but if I were to go back, like if I knew then what I know now, this is what I would have done.
Yeah. No, that is definitely, I won't say a sum up of a lot of things I probably teaching my kids, but it is some of them, right? Having to deal some of that stuff too in my younger years. And I would say, like, even my issues studying at a university, because I still, like I said, I was talking to you earlier, and I was saying that I was going to still push my kids to still go to college. It wasn't that if they told me something different, if they had a different idea, I would definitely find something else, right? I'll say, hey, try the military. Hey, go ahead, try entrepreneurship. Hey, try this trade. I would definitely tell them to do that. But because of, what I know now about college, I kind of just like, okay, you know what? Still go to university. There's other things that you find out once you're there. The way I'm gonna have everything set up anyway, my plans are to have their school paid for, so they don't have to deal with what I dealt with. I had to receive student loans and have to be in one of the reasons why I went to the military. I'm not saying it's a bad thing I went to the military, but it's one of those things that caused me to have to, sign, in a sense, how they always say, sign your life away. Well, I had to sign my life away for X amount of dollars. And then if you look at yourself like that and you go like, my person, am I worth that X amount of dollars? I should be worth more than that. But in a sense, right, I had to tie myself, to an organization where you have potential of going to war, you have potential of putting yourself in harm's way, and also making it where your family wouldn't even see you anymore, right? If you think about it in that perspective, and you're like, no, I don't see myself wanting that for my children. So in a sense, this is kind of like me trying to prepare as a parent. It's not me trying to just push them just to do that. It's more me preparing as a parent to get them to a level where they can have options. They can do other things. They don't have to sign their life away. They don't have to be bogged down. They don't have to be like the rest of us in America, where we have these student loans and we had to make some kind of drastic decision.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, and to kind of reword what I was saying, is that another thing that helps me is knowing that these problems don't just happen to me, as in, I'm not the only person that, let's say, gets into a car accident. Right? I'm not the only person that, has student debt. I'm not the only person that, has messed up my credit. Right. What I can do is then make it lessons for other people, as in, and I mean, I think some people take it in a positive or negative way, as in, some people that listen to Dave Ramsey are never going to get into debt because of whatever reason. But you could put it in ways like, this is what I went through and this is what I would recommend. And instead of saying, this is what I went through and this is what you should do instead, I think it's better to frame it from this is my opinion, and not necessarily a statement of fact, but this is my opinion and this is where it could go for you, possibility, probability wise could go for you. So, and I think it's because learning from other people's experience, or I guess the saying is it is a smart person will learn from their own experiences. A wise person will learn from the experiences of others. And I think that's the beauty in looking at problems a positive way, as in something that I'm not the only person that's going to go through this, so I'm not going to worry too much about it, but I can teach other people about it, and they can maneuver it around however they want.
Yeah.
And going into is there any advice you would offer to people when they're looking at something it looks bad in the moment, and having them swap it to something that they can teach, or something that they can, think, into the future, at some point I'm going to be able to teach this to someone.
Yeah. Well, if you're in a moment and it's actually happening, one of the things that you have to do is breathing, right? You have to just kind of calm yourself down, because most of the time everything seems like a crisis when it's actually at the moment. A lot of times when you go back and look at it from your past, and you realize that wasn't a crisis, because you realize how well, if you always compare it to that, it's never a crisis. But a lot of times people see crisis it could be as simple as they missed the bus. You know what I'm saying? It could have been, they got coffee spilled on them. You never know who it is and how they handle it, right? But when you first start out, it's you kind of take, breathe, because if you only have a few moments to figure something out, it really the breathing is the best thing. If it's something that you can handle the next day, you might want to handle it the next day, because I can guarantee you your mindset's going to be totally different. If you're a person that knows how to figure out how to put yourself to sleep so you can get to the next day, that's perfect, because the brain can, it's still running while you're asleep. Yeah. So, and it also heals from whatever trauma it is too, right? So if you can get a chance to get away from it, then you can actually realize that there was something that, okay, it's a new situation. I just need to look at it in a different angle, and you can learn from whatever it is. Honestly, that's how I look at a lot of things. Some things, even if it's shocking, right? You kind of just hold your bearing, because a lot of things, they aren't as bad as you make it seem like. Because right. Honestly, the first thing, you shouldn't think of the first thing that you die. You look at it, but if you look at it into that, does someone have a gun pointed at you right now, where you have to make this drastic decision that will cause harm to everyone that you know, right? Once you calm it down and you start to put it in perspective that, okay, it's a problem like any other problem that can be solved. It is not one that has an infinite, infinite number of solutions to it. I mean, well, it's not solutions, but we're finite. That's the word. Yeah. It's only one finite way that it can't go anywhere else. This is the only way. It'll never happen again. As long as you keep an open mind about it, then you'll realize that there's multiple ways to get this taken care of, and that you'll learn from it in the long term. Yeah.
And I think also looking at different time horizons, as in, if, say you got into a car accident, right? But it's just a fender bender, is nothing huge, no one got injured. It's just, here's your insurance, here's my insurance, file it, I'll say I did it wrong, whatever it was, right? But I think like if you, let's say if you're upset about it because you got into a fender bender, if you look at like a time horizon, like will this fender bender really matter in like a year? Will it matter in 10 years? Will it matter in 20 years? Maybe not, right? Because it shows you like how far away or how almost insignificant that event was in comparison to what like life has to offer. And I'm not saying like, like you said, like don't say like, hey, I'm dead or whatever it is, or like, I could be dead, whatever that is. But I think just looking at the time horizon, like, say if you're 35, will you care about it when I'm 45? Will you care about it when you're 55, when you're 85? Like, when do you stop caring in reality? Like, when do you just stop caring? And I think that helps reduce the amount of anxiety or whatever that term would be. Hey y'all, if you didn't know, mine and Craig's mission is to bridge the gap between generations by empowering, exposing, and educating others about financial literacy, new perspectives, and life goals. We can't do that without reaching more ear holes. So if you enjoy this content, then please share this to at least one other person to help us expand our brand and their minds.